Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Paul Fleming, and this is your Chamber Check-In. And these March Chamber Check-ins are sponsored by Alaska Airlines. And I want to say a few words about that partnership. So Alaska Airlines has been providing essential air service for its guests and freight services, and traditionally, and providing tender loving care. Alaska serves more than 800 destinations worldwide. So thank you, Alaska Airlines, for this partnership here in March. And today, with that, we get to speak with Brett Catlin, Vice President of Network and Alliances of Alaska Airlines. Hi, Brett.
Hey, good afternoon, Paul. Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's all my pleasure. This is great. You know, Bill Connors, our CEO, is one of the travel gurus here. And he's kind of a big fish in a little pond with the Boise Metro Chamber and serves on the National Travel Board. And he's got some great connections, just like this one here. And so I'm so excited to share a little bit more about Alaska Airlines, its services here, its history, and then we'll talk about a couple other things. So without further ado, Brett, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do in your role, and then tell us a little bit about the history of the airline.
Absolutely, Paul. Happy to do so. Yes. So as you mentioned, Brett Catlin, I have the privilege of serving as Alaska Air Group's Vice President, Network Alliances, which is essentially where we fly, our schedules, our partners, the type of aircraft we use. It's a fantastic job. It's the dream job. A lot of folks aspire to be in this industry, and it's everything that it's cracked up to be. So, couldn't ask for a better role and a better company. In terms of Alaska's history, we're about to celebrate our 90th anniversary in the next couple of years. We were founded, it's super exciting, and there's just so much great history within the industry and in Alaska, and we've been a part of the fabric, certainly of the state of Alaska, but also of the Pacific Northwest for a really long time, dating back to those first flights in the early 1930s, and all the stories and the legacy and the things we've done as a company to support our communities, our country, over the past 90 years. Just that there's wonderful history there. Much of it's actually tied to Boise as well. We've been a part of the Boise community since, I want to say 1983. So almost 4 decades in Boise, originally with Horizon Air and now, of course, with Alaska more broadly. So a lot of great history in the Treasure Valley, part of the Boise community, and we're really proud of that.
That's awesome. So how has flight travel been for y'all? Just coming out of the pendulum starting to swing the other side. How's business, Brett?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say, look, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a really interesting year. I think we've learned a lot as a company in terms of what works, some new skill sets around how do we drive demand in a way that's thoughtful and allows people to get where they need to go, but also allows us to build our brand and our reputation for the long term. We've also been very fortunate in terms of our community support, the support of our employees and our unions, federal support, of course, which has allowed us to get to this point where when we start to look at demand, it's clear that people want to fly this summer, that as vaccinations take hold, and they really are taking hold, that there's going to be demand. People will be excited to visit their families, their loved ones, their friends, to get back on the road, to make business deals, and to get back to living life. And we're very excited to be a part of that. It's been a long year, but having that optimistic view to this summer and what's beyond, I think gives us a lot of confidence to go out and do some really fun things with our network and to better serve our communities.
So with that, tell us about the traditional services that you've been flying direct from Boise to destinations. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when our guests in Boise think about Alaska and Horizon, they almost certainly think about the Pacific Northwest. We've long offered amazing service to Portland, Seattle, Spokane, points within our Pacific Northwest community. They may not think about Alaska as much, though, when it comes to travel to California or the East Coast. California is an incredibly important market for us. We've served for the past year 5 destinations in California, nonstop from Boise. So San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, San Diego, Palm Springs. And then, of course, we're rolling out today some new routes to the East Coast, which will further expand our relevance, we think, to the Boise community. We've long been the largest carrier, but it was really to the Pacific Northwest, to California, maybe to Hawaii, So offering nonstop service to Chicago and Austin, which will start the middle of June. Yeah, that allows us to connect to our partner in Chicago, American Airlines. So if you want to fly to the Northeast or the East Coast, seamless connectivity. And then, of course, down to Austin. It's a new route for the Boise community, linking two state capitals, two growing tech hubs. So a lot of really exciting growth in terms of the number of destinations we serve, which will be at 12, but also just in terms of the frequency of service. We'll offer over 30 daily flights from Boise, which is actually, it's an incredible number given where we were at a decade ago.
Well, you kind of skimmed across that pretty quick, but again, that's a huge announcement that you're providing elevated service for your guests here in the Treasure Valley. Say those new routes that were just announced this morning one more time, please.
Absolutely, yeah. We were really excited this morning to share the stage with Mayor McLean and Airport Director Rebecca to announce new nonstop service, Alaska Airlines, Boise to Chicago and Boise to Austin.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So my mom lives in Fairbanks, right? Where all Alaska started in its very beginning. So can we just get a direct flight from Fairbanks to Boise?
I know, wouldn't that be nice? My parents live in Florida, and they've regularly asked me to serve our local airport down in Sarasota. So if I can't have Sarasota, you can't have Fairbanks, at least not yet, Paul.
I had to ask. Hey, I wanted to also ask you kind of a funny question. There is an image on the airplane itself, on your tail fin. Who is that?
Yeah, it isn't a silly question. It's a great question. We get it all the time. So it's an iconic image on the tail of all of our aircraft. It dates back to the early 1970s, so it's been part of our culture, our DNA for 50 years. We did a bit of an update maybe 5 years ago to give the depiction, which is of a native Eskimo on our tail fin, a little bit more of a smile. But our history is in the state of Alaska. We're incredibly proud of our heritage, our history. And for us, that keeps us rooted to the communities we serve and have served for decades. And it also just reflects our values, what's important to us. And it does. I think when people see that image, they think of Alaska Airlines. They think of the warm service we provide, our commitment to the communities we serve, and the fact that really for us, guests come above everything else. And the communities we serve are paramount. And so it means a lot to our people and to the communities that we operate in. But it does, if you haven't seen it before, you say, wait a second, what is that? And what does it stand for? What does it mean?
You can tell it's an Alaska plane just by looking up in the sky, and you can see that image. It's so cool.
Absolutely. And it's been fun to spread our wings throughout not only Boise, but the nation. We ran a campaign a few years ago. We do more than fly lumberjacks to glaciers, because there is this view when you have that distinctive look on your aircraft that perhaps you only go to Alaska. But of course, with this announcement, with our growth, we go to far more places than Alaska, and we're excited to take people from Boise all over the U.S. and all over the world.
As your job as Alliance and Network Vice President, tell me more about the new global alliance that I'm hearing about that's happening coming up later in the year.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll join the One World Alliance the end of this month on March 31st. It's been a long time coming for Alaska. We've been fortunate to have wonderful global partners for decades. It's always been a part of who we are and connecting our guests. One World allows us to offer a seamless guest experience. So if you're an elite with us in Boise and you fly to LA or Seattle or Austin all the time and you've earned that elite status, but maybe once a year you need to go over to Japan, to Tokyo, or to Shanghai, or to London. When you fly on our partners, JAL or American Airlines or British Airways, they'll recognize you as one of their own elites. You'll get access to premium class lounges, better seats, more baggage. There's a whole slate of benefits. And for us, it's really about offering that global connectivity. While we serve North America with our partners, we serve the globe. And so we want to be relevant if you live in Boise or really anywhere for all of your travel. We want to be more than just the West Coast or Chicago or Austin with these announcements. We want you to think about us when it comes to travel anywhere.
Awesome. Hey, you may know this question or not, but how many people are employed by Alaska Airlines?
Yeah, we're really proud to employ almost 23,000 people across Alaska, Horizon, our ground services company, McGee. The people are what makes Alaska special. I've been here for about 4 years, and it's pretty clear as soon as you join the company that's our focus. And without the great teams that we have, the great people we have, including our almost 700 employees in Boise, which is incredible. We have 700 employees in Boise. What we do, the service we provide to our guests, wouldn't be possible.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's people getting the work done, right? So thanks for telling me a little bit more about that. Hey, I also wanted to thank you for your community support. I think it tells a lot about Alaska Airlines culture. When we're even doing this interview here with the local Boise Metro Chamber, talking with an up and coming global company, I think it's really cool that you guys are thinking about your communities on a grassroots level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, as I mentioned before, the communities we serve have always been part of our DNA. It's who we are. We're a company where a lot of our executive team has been here for 20 or 30 years. I think it's important to who we are and what makes us up. Being a part of the local community, we take our obligations seriously. We know the power of air service, the power of connectivity for people to see their friends and family, but also to grow economies. And so it's a privilege of ours to be involved in the Boise community, to be involved, Paul, with you and Bill in the Boise Chamber of Commerce. That means a lot to us. We know that people have a choice when it comes to air service. And while we're the largest carrier in Boise, there's lots of other options. And we do want people to think of Alaska and Horizon as the local hometown carrier. The 700 employees, of course, are an important part of that, but also how we show up in the community. We support, I think, over 40 nonprofits in the Treasure Valley area between obviously Boise and Nampa and the broader outlying areas. And we're doubling down on that commitment because, one, we see incredible growth potential in Boise. We're enamored with what's happening there from a demographic, economic growth perspective. Boise has everything going for it. And so for us, we want to be a part of the fabric of the community, continue to play an important role and to help the community get where it's trying to go.
That's awesome, Brett. Hey, is there anything else that you'd like to tell the Boise community today before we go on with our week?
Yeah, no, Paul, thanks for making the time for having me on to chat for a few minutes. And we couldn't be more excited to grow Boise. I have a small team on the network side, maybe 10 folks, and they are so excited about Boise. They see so much potential. I see so much potential in these new markets and what we can do together and how we can be a part of the incredible story that's happening in Boise. And so we're appreciative of, as I mentioned, the airport director, the Boise mayor, the entire Boise community for supporting our new services, for flying Alaska, and for considering us and our partners when it's time to travel this summer and beyond.
Awesome. Well, Brett, thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on your new career with Alaska. I can't wait to see you at our next gathering when we can meet in person and have an event together and just talk about something else besides the pandemic and stuff.
Absolutely. I look forward to that as well, Paul, and to meeting many of the people that are involved in the Boise Chamber and getting to have some great discussions.
Awesome. Brett, thanks so much again. Have a great week, and we look forward to the next time we get to see each other.
You too. Take care.
Bye.